everybody. Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT, and new Banlist PogChamp. New Banlist PogChamp. What are we doing? Okay, so it is a beautiful Monday morning, upon which I think pretty much no one was expecting this. For those of you that don't know, the Yu-Gi-Oh! Banlist releases in cycles. There is no longer a date associated with a list update, and it's for the exact reason that you see in this list. Were a Banlist to have been released a couple of months after the previous one, it would have come a couple of weeks back, and people sort of expected there might be one just to freshen up the format before the release of Blazing Dominion. But a very powerful set in Blazing Dominion was released a couple of weeks after, which basically forced rotation upon the denizens of dueling. As a result, it doesn't really make sense to ban a bunch of decks that are on the way out anyway. So, Konami waited a couple of weeks, let people play with the shiny new toys through few nationals seasons and regional weekends, and now we're here. New Forbidden and Limited card list update just a couple of days, I think, after the NA release of BLZD. Now, I do want to say, I think this format probably does necessitate some sort of action taken. And that's because, at present, there is one deck that is head and shoulders above the rest, Kewl. I like Kewl. I played it a ton in Genesis, but it is so absolutely dominant and so absolutely frustrating in so many ways in the TCG that I thought I was just going to take a couple of months off and focus on, like, getting good at Genesis and, like, playing online Duel Links events and stuff. I had absolutely no motivation to play in a format where that strategy was the top one. This is for a number of reasons, but I think the one that people are going to highlight the most is availability of information. A new card, Kewl Rotary, was released, which allows you to, of course, extend, find spells when it's used as synchro material. It's a 1-star which fills a niche that the deck was otherwise lacking, but importantly lets you look at your opponent's hand, meaning it's very difficult to misplay, especially when you also know the top card of their deck, courtesy of another card in the Kewl archetype. I hope to see that curbed. I think we are at the position in Yu-Gi-Oh! That we can freely admit knowledge of your opponent's hand kind of takes the fun out of the thing. This is a game that was built from the ground up on the concept of hidden information. Trap cards are almost unique to Yu-Gi-Oh! Among the big three. It sure would be unfortunate if hiding information became something that doesn't exist in the game anymore. So let's look at the list. I guess what I'm hoping to see is hits to Kewl, obviously. If they want to rotate out the Jush decks, that would be really devastating because I think all of those are really interesting. But Draco Tail could use some hits relative to the other two because it is quite powerful still. It had a great showing last weekend despite the fact that Kewl just came out. So let's see what's going on. Okay. Honestly, already pretty excited about this. K904 Noroi is a part of the K9 Vanquish Soul deck, which is, of course, very powerful, or the K9 Artmage deck if you're Kevin. But the really important part about this card is that it gives you hand knowledge. So hopefully this means Konami is moving in the right direction when it comes to recognizing that effect is exceptionally powerful. I kind of doubt it because I don't see Rotary on here. Now, this is kind of the core problem with this ban list, which is the new cards are too new to hit, but they are also obviously the problem. So what do you do? Ah, well. Okay, next up is Naturia Rose Whip. This is a card that could be summoned by Kewl. It prevents your opponent from activating more than one spell or trap card each turn, which in the modern metagame basically reads you win. I should also note that I was made aware of this a couple of days ago, that Naturia Rose Whip is actually a rose holding whips. I thought the whips were like its appendages, but it is literally just a disembodied rose with anime eyes holding whips. What's going on with that? And CXC's Gimmick Puppet Fantastic Machinex, boy, we just really messed up this whole archetype. It was really cool of them to release an entire archetype of cards that do little more than FTK. That is no longer possible with the ban of this card. Rest in peace, Quattro. It is Quattro who plays them, right? All right, let's move on to limiteds. Oh, spicy. All right, first up, Cupsy Yummy. This is not particularly surprising. Yummy is an exceptionally powerful deck from Jush. If they want people to buy the new product while still keeping the power of Kewl low, they have to rotate out the Jush decks. This is what's so irritating to me when people talk about how Yu-Gi-Oh! Doesn't need rotation, is because it already has rotation. You are already going to see worse results having owned a deck like Yummy post-ban list, regardless of the deck's utility in the current format, because Konami needs you to buy the new stuff. Why not just make it official? Then I can plan sales better. Next up is Fairy Tale Snow. So, wow, that's frustrating for me specifically. The new cards in Blazing Dominion that support the Fairy Tale archetype are good. They are quite powerful, and I've played against it a lot because in Genesis, Fairy Tale Snow isn't banned and people are experimenting with it. The Fairy Tale 10-minute testing is this week's, and it was 70% done. And now it is 0% done because we have to go back and change all the lines to include snow. All right, well, still, whatever. I hate snow. I think it is a really frustrating card to have in the game, but I can't deny that at this point it's probably not going to be a problem, and it's absolutely necessary if we want Fairy Tale to be any sort of competent. Malice P. White Rabbit down to 1. Man, they can't decide where they want this deck to be. Malice has continued to top, past the ban of one of its most powerful cards. God knows how. As a result, they are just going to keep shaving down individual names until you can only play a Dormouse if you sacrifice an arm and a leg at the beginning of the game. Cupsy Yummy Way to 1. Obviously, putting a Synchro Monster to 1 is kind of interesting, especially one like Yummy Way that can recycle itself so easily, but I get it. You know, that they want these cards to be less available. The really frustrating thing this does is makes you a little more susceptible to Cool Toon Clip randomly banishing it. Suddenly you don't have access to Yummy Way at all. Don't do that shit. Come on. Branded Fusion 1 makes sense. God, why was this ever put to 2? This card was powerful the whole time it was a 1. Yeah, I mean, it is such an unbelievable powerhouse in Draco Tale specifically. I'm happy to see it go back down. Metamorphosis and Premat, we can do it once. Genesis has been a really fertile testing ground for cards like this because they showcase that it is not a problem at all. That these cards could be 0 points and it wouldn't be an issue. They can be legal in the TCG and it wouldn't be an issue. Metamorphosis basically was illegal because of memory. You know, people remember it being a frustrating card to play against, and that's why it's hit. It does not enable anything particularly egregious. The best it can do is change a 1-card or 1-star monster into Millenniumize Restrict, which is sort of called by if you squint in a format where called by is legal at 1. I guess now this is too. And the other thing it can do is translate a 7 into Last Warrior from Another Planet, which means no one gets to play the game until we deal with Last Warrior from Another Planet. That is not good enough to win the game, because you can still set monsters under Last Warrior, and your opponent will never actually win until you draw an out. Premature Burial. This is a card with a lot of potential. It was playable in Doomsy in Genesis. However, that deck no longer needs to play this card. It's actually pretty weak in the grand scheme of things. The interesting part about this is that it's a reborn that can be looped, right? It can be returned to the hand and then activated again. It can be searched off of cards like Power Tool Dragon, which are exceptionally easy to get to. The truth of the matter, though, is I don't think any deck that wants to recur a guy from the graveyard doesn't have an in-archetype way to do that. And I don't think this changes the math on any of them. I'd love to be wrong. This would be a fun card to be broken for a format, but I don't think it is. Radiant Typhoon Chant, yeah, we're just deciding that we don't want anyone doing this horseshit anymore, and that's completely fine with me. The Radiant Typhoon cards have just been so splashable, I think is what irritates people about them. They're like, play the damn deck. Rahu Draco Tail... How funny was it that they hit Ketu? Wasn't that hilarious? Did they just fuck it up? Did they forget which one was the really crazy one? Oh, man. Yeah, obviously. Unfortunately, there's not too much to say about this hit other than obviously. And Synchro Overtake. Okay, well, Synchro Overtake is a way that Cool Toon can extend by special summoning a Mix or a Rico or, I guess, a clip now from deck without having to commit to your normal. Kind of weird to put it to 1 because there is a card that does the same thing in Duelist Genesis. It just gets you the Synchro Overtake. People would mostly cut that because you don't need it anymore. I mean, this is a powerful extender, but this is also the first Cool Toon hit we're seeing for a format that is wholly dominated by Cool Toon, right? Am I wrong? Let's go to semis. All right. Really nothing to say to that. It's the third Arthalion that gets you. You know, sometimes it is. I will be honest, sometimes it is. What? And no unlimbs. Wait, is there actually no unlimbs? Are you kidding me? That's it? Okay, what? What do you want me to say about this? I feel like I'm reading the Atla manuscript. Where's the rest of it? Yeah, so changes from this ban list, I would say probably I think Cool Tune is the best deck. What are you talking about? I feel like I'm going crazy. There's one Cool Tune hit, Synchro Overtake, one hit to the functional FTK that Cool Tune could play but often didn't, and then nothing. And then a bunch of hits to fucking Cupsy Wupsy Poopsy Whoopsy and Malice. Are you for real? I mean, I say this all the time, and situations like this only make it more clear, but there's two reasons that Konami will release a ban list. The first is that something's gone unbelievably wrong, that a significant amount of cards are far too powerful and need to be brought to heel. This pales in comparison to the use case of the ban list that they much prefer, which is buy our new shit, which is go to the store and purchase Blazing Dominion, available in stores now. Go to Walgreens, go to Target, go to Walmart, buy as much Blazing Dominion as you can and rip that motherfucking rotary. So this is not only an admission that the next couple of months are going to be Cool Tune Central. It is also an understanding that if you are playing a deck that isn't Cool Tune, you can fucking suck my dick. Like, you are going to have to. We are going to make your Cool Tune matchup even worse until you play the new deck. Fuck me, dude. I don't know. I don't want to give off the impression that there's nothing you can be doing this format if you aren't playing Cool Tune. Look at the results of the Nationals from this week. There's a significant amount of them that have a whole bevy of interesting strategies in the top 8 that aren't named Cool Tune. But as someone who is at least a little plugged into the professional players and what's being developed in Discords, I can say I don't see another deck being as consistently competitive as this one. And it is so disheartening to see everything but it take it out behind the shed. Like, enjoy your one Rahu, Mr. Dracoteo. Anyway, Rotary add KTS. What a strange thing to do. You know, there is one possible outcome that makes sense, and that is that Mr. Konami has practiced the Cool Tune Fairy Tail matchup for the last 900 hours and has come to the understanding it's a 100-0, that unbanning Fairy Tail Snow will create an environment in which Cool Tune cannot possibly overcome the sexy cat furry Xyz. I don't know, man. Well, I will say I came into this being like, well, Cool Tune's so strong and I have such little interest in playing it, I intend to take the next couple of months to really focus on alternative formats, and this really looks like a sign from the Egyptian gods that that was the right course of action. Man, I try to be positive in these ban list updates. I think, you know, despite the fact that the community likes to say game dead after every single change to anything, I come out of almost every ban list being like, I think there is a really interesting future for the next couple of months of the metagame, but this, I mean, get ready to normal summon Q, boys.